Hi, my name is Brooke Lippman.
And I'm Dr. Deb Lippman.
And this is Wine Together,
A podcast where we drink some wine and have a chat.
So sit back, relax, and get that corkscrew ready. Welcome back to Wine Together. Just wanted to add a trigger warning for mentions of eating disorders, drug abuse, and sexual assault. Okay, cheers.
Cheers, Brooke.
Oh. I took a sip too fast.
I love this wine.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. So we tried it on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of get the feel of it because we were fortunate enough to get 2 bottles when we got it because it was, at a good price. And so we like Rioja wines anyway from the Rioja region of Spain. Oh, we didn't salute. I was so excited to say salute, and I didn't say it. But, we've enjoyed these wines before. This particular one, I actually found out what grapes it is. Okay. And you know what? I've, as far as I know, not had these grapes.
Okay.
And it's a blend of 3 grapes. The Tempranillo wine, grapes, the Mafuello.
Okay.
And the, you're supposed to go have like an N sound at the beginning, the Garnacha. These are 3 blends make a wonderful wine. This is a Gran Reserva, which means it's better if it waits a while. Okay. So this is a 2013.
Oh.
We're drinking it in 2025, and it's supposed to be best before 2028. So we're right at the best time to drink it.
Okay.
So I'm kind of excited that we actually are, connoisseurs of this correctly today. I mean, this one time, right, that we got it correct. So I really like it. Your dad, when he drank it, says, oh, it has like a buttery, it's like butter. And I don't know if he meant it tastes like butter.
I think he meant like smooth, but I don't see that.
I definitely feel it. And almost every Rioja wine I drink, I have that texture.
I've never had wine have that texture.
Okay, well, it does for me, for sure.
So, I could just be a very non-normal or like a
maybe
slight allergy to something. I don't know.
No, you're just not. You're just not. You just don't. Our taste buds take a while to mature. So.
Well, no, it's not that I don't like the taste. It's just it's kind of like not
but
like itchy.
I don't think it tastes. I think
No. Not. I mean, like it's not like itchy, but it's kind of like sharp on my tongue.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
my
not
throat.
Smooth.
No, nothing.
Maybe you
no
have a
wine
sore
is.
throat. Okay.
No, this is every wine. I don't think I've ever had a wine that's been smooth.
Well, how do you define relationships?
I don't know. It's just like the kind of like anything that's like. It's hard to define relationships without using the word relationship.
It is, but go ahead and try.
So like the connection between multiple people or between other people.
But it's not just it's not just person to person, right?
Well, no, it can be like multiple people. That's what I was trying to get across.
But I'm just saying it's not necessarily a person to a person. It could be a person to food.
That it's just like the connection that people have between each other.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say, a relationship doesn't have to be person to person. It doesn't have to be a person to a person. A relationship that a person has to their work.
Okay.
We use that word relationship in that sense. We use a relationship to food.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have a positive relationship with food. Some people have a negative relationship with food. Some people don't even recognize their relationship with food. So relationship, it defines, it's a connection to something, but it doesn't necessarily have to be people to people.
Okay.
So, what good relationships?
Well, I mean, I think we have a pretty good relationship, even though you're kind of upset with me right now. But I mean, like, I mostly just have, like, family relationships. I don't have that many friends, so.
I don't either.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I've never been one to, I've never felt the need for it. But, you know, I don't know. It's just, I guess I don't trust people enough to consider a relationship with them. And I certainly, I mean, you know, I have one really, really, really good girlfriend. And honestly, she could text me right now and it would be as if no time had passed.
Yeah.
Even though it's probably been since her birthday that I texted her in February. Because I texted her for her birthday. And then I think she might have texted in March. You know, but still, time goes between our text messages, and then we'll have a long text message conversation, and we get together hopefully once a year. You know, when we're back in the States, and you know, it's almost as if no time passes. So I consider, you know, that relationship, that's a very important relationship to me. But yeah, I don't have a lot of friends, and I don't necessarily want a lot of friends because I don't know that I can be a good friend. So I don't want to, you know, that puts a lot of pressure on me.
Yeah.
You know, to have that kind of relationship. But, you know, it seems like anytime you get on social media, there's somebody out there that wants to start a relationship with you. I just think that's odd. I don't want to.
It's just people are weird. You have to ignore a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a hard time doing that, though, because I am the kind of person that I believe everything people say.
Yeah, you can't.
And I know I know it sounds contradictory. I just said I don't trust people. I don't trust people when it comes to building a relationship with people. But I tend to, you know, until somebody's proven to be a liar to me, I'm going to believe what they say. And that's not about trusting. That's just me being the kind of person that I am. I believe people because I feel like, you know, people have no reason to lie.
Yeah, that's definitely not true.
Yeah, well, I think I personally feel okay that, you know, I don't have, you know, a ton of friends to keep up with. I'll be honest with you. I used to think that was so important. When I was younger, I felt like I really needed to be surrounded by friends. And as I look back on that, I kind of feel a little silly about that. Because when I was in college, I'm telling you, almost everyone on that campus knew me. It was a small school, but I was well known, and you know, it kind of felt good. But you know, it's really, to me, it's just not. It didn't do anything for me. It's not like it, you know, got me a job afterwards. It didn't. So I didn't, you know, there was probably no reason for, but that is where I met my friend. And so, you know, we were, I mean, I guess we started at the same time. In fact, gosh, we must have met each other within days of our freshman year. And, you know, it just, yeah. I mean, over the years, I mean, there was, at one point, there was probably 10 or 12 years between talking to each other. And so, because at that time, we didn't have cell phones. So, I mean, it was a long, long, long period before talking to each other. But honestly, when we got back together, it was just like no time had passed at all. We felt like neither of us had changed, and, you know, we just jumped back into doing the same things we did, you know, when we were in college, staying up late, watching TV kind of stuff. Except then, at this point, I had children. So, you know, and she had her dogs, so. But Yeah, I don't know. I think relationships are important. But I think that that's why I don't have many friend relationships. It's because I do value it so much. And if someone cannot be, the same kind of person, same kind of friend that I intend to be, I'll just kind of write them off and say, well, I don't need that.
Yeah.
And so, it's just not that important to me to have to, kind of deal with the heartbreak. And I just think, heartbreak's hard, even if it is just between friends. But, I don't know. I mean, I think all relationships are hard.
Yeah.
Even our relationship to food. I find it to be very hard. Very, very hard. Because, well, I think because society puts these certain expectations on us to look a certain way, to act a certain way, to be a certain way. And so I think that definitely affects our relationship to food. When really, our bodies tend to kind of move into a direction that, is naturally going to go. Not everybody is tall and thin. Not everybody's thin. And it's, I think that, gosh, I can remember, when I was in high school, I don't recall, but I didn't look at magazines. I didn't watch a lot of TV when I was in high school. So maybe I just didn't understand media. And so I wasn't getting it. I don't know if that's what it was. But I do remember when y'all were in school, I was terrified of your relationship to media and what it was going to cause you to do. Were you going to fall into an eating disorder? Were you going to fall into, drug use or,
Oh, I'm going to
things.
put a trigger warning on the episode.
Okay.
If you're talking about, like, eating disorders and drug use and stuff.
I think that, yeah. So we need to write that down.
Yeah.
But I think that as a mother, I think a lot of mothers worry about this with their daughters. When you were choosing the direction you wanted to go with your major in undergraduate, I was terrified. But I couldn't tell you that. I didn't want to say, no, don't major in that. But, because of, what we've seen from people who have gone into that field, especially females, I was worried. I was really, really scared. But, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I know in another show we kind of alluded to, relationships, lack thereof, or whatever. I remember my sister. I was back in the U.S. a few months ago for an extended time, for about 4.5, 5 months. And I didn't tell a lot of people. Like, most people didn't know I was there. But because I didn't have time. I didn't have time to see the people I would have wanted to see. And so I didn't tell anybody I was there. And because work was just all consuming. But I did get to spend time with your oldest sibling and his family and with my sister. And it was funny because my sister and I had conversations that we had never had. I always thought of my sister as being close to me. I always thought of us as close. And, even after we first moved here, I'll never forget, we took them out to dinner to tell them that we were moving out of the country. And we met them. Do you remember this? We went on a ski trip at Christmas 2018.
I remember that, but I don't
We met them
remember
at a
that.
Mexican restaurant for dinner.
I don't remember that.
Okay, we met them at a Mexican restaurant for dinner, and we were going to tell them, because we wanted to tell them face to face. We didn't want it to be...
But did we even know then?
Yes, we knew December 2018.
Okay.
We knew September 2018
Yeah.
that we were moving in 2019.
Okay.
And so...
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Time is weird.
having a difficult relationship with
I
calendars.
have a really bad relationship with time.
So we went.
I need to get tested for ADHD.
Well, you don't need to get tested for it unless it's starting to, like, if you can't get a job and stuff like that. If you think that's a problem, then maybe. But if it is just an awareness, you just need to be aware of it and adjust your life to it.
Yeah, well, there's some problems, but.
So, but anyway, we went to this Mexican restaurant in North Carolina, in the mountains of North Carolina, and it's so funny because even the relationship dynamics in these two families. Mm-hmm. There's me and my sister. Mm-hmm. There's your dad and her husband. Oh yeah. Completely separate relationships. Mm-hmm. So when we sat at the table, I sat directly across from her. Mm-hmm. Jeff sat directly across from your dad, mm-hmm. and then. Well, I'm not sure if Megan was there. Amber was for sure there. Gracie was there. So it was probably Amber, Mason, and M. Okay. And then there was you, Gracie, and Ren.
I really don't remember this.
And so we had this long table. And so we had ordered the food, and we were sitting there, and I said, I need to talk to you about something. And your dad jumps right in and just says, we're moving to Switzerland. And they were like, what? Where?
Okay,
where is this?
For whatever reason, I remember this conversation happening at their house.
No, it did not. It happened at a restaurant in Western North Carolina.
I remember Jeff asking if they could drive there. Like, as a joke.
Yeah. No, it was not at their house. And so, it may have continued at their house, but the initial, because they were the first people we told. Yeah. We had not told anyone else in the family. In fact, she may have gone and told my mother. I don't remember. But anyway, I wanted to, when I told my mom, I wanted to mm-hmm. Be able to tell my grandma at the same time, because mm-hmm. I was really close to my grandmother. And so that was an important relationship to me. Mm-hmm. And so, but it was just funny. So anyway, when I was back in North Carolina, I got to spend some time with her and her husband, mm-hmm. and I would see the kids every once in a while, and see her oldest more, and her granddaughter. Mm-hmm. That was, kind of, and so I just, when I think of that word relationship, these are, it's funny that I think of that word differently when I'm thinking of her than when I'm thinking of, the person I've been married to for 30 years. Mm-hmm. It's a very different word. Mm-hmm. There are different feelings. It's different comfort levels. Mm-hmm. A very different comfort level. I've been married to your dad for 30 years, and there's still some things I can't tell him. Because I feel I feel like I know the reaction that's going to come, mm-hmm. and I'm just not willing to deal with that reaction anymore. Okay. It's not worth it to me. But, and I think that's one thing about relationships. You do get to know people. And it's funny because certain people will say, you don't know me as well as you think I do. This mm-hmm. is the one I don't want to talk to about certain things. Yeah. Because this is what, you always think you know everything. And, when you've been living with somebody for 30 years, you kind of do know them. Mm-hmm. If you've been paying attention. Yeah. Or at least you would think mm-hmm. that you do. So, I think I do know them. And so I think I'm just going to say. But, it's so funny. My sister was saying to me in December, well, maybe it was November, December, she was saying to me, I always thought you had... she said, she was saying that she was talking to my oldest child. Mm-hmm. And she was talking to him because he had asked her some questions. And she said, she just had so many relationships. And that's just not true. Everybody thinks I had so many boyfriends. I don't know why people think that.
I don't know.
But I didn't. Mm-hmm. And, my parents would say that about me. My sister thought that about me. Mm-hmm. I think people I went to high school with thought that about me. Yeah. But I didn't. Mm-hmm. Honestly, very few. Mm-hmm. Very, very few. And I know people think, especially people from my past, they think, I dated, everybody, every other day or something. It just was kind of thing, but it just was not true. Because I always believed, I believed the TV version. I'm like, Brady Bunch was my go-to as a kid. I thought every family was going to be like that.
Okay.
I knew my family wasn't like that.
Yeah.
The one I had. But I swore in my heart of hearts that was the kind of relationship I was going to have, was what Mr. and Mrs. Brady had.
I haven't seen the Brady Bunch.
And I just, that was just what I believed. I just thought it was just going to be this perfect relationship. And so I guess that's why I feel like I didn't have a lot of relationships as a young person,
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter, though.
Well, it did back then.
Yeah, but
it mattered.
one,
Everybody thought.
Now times are different, and two, also, who cares?
Well, I cared at the time. I don't care now.
But yeah, you're
I mean, I don't
now.
care.
I mean, but when you're a teenager, everything is the end of the world.
It is. It absolutely is, and it definitely was for me. I'm telling you, it was just, and now that the truth has come out in that part of the world, now that people know what I was going through all my life, I'm hoping that some people can forgive me, but I know that there's some people, there's this one girl that, I mean, I was telling my sister, so-and-so, I said, I remember one night, these two girlfriends came over to my house that I was really close to. And one, I was really, really close to her. And they wanted to go hunting with my dad had said something about taking them hunting, and I was like, I'm not going, because I don't go in the woods with that man no more. I know what happens, and I tried to tell them. I said, y'all don't want to go. And I'll never forget, they came home late that night, and one of those girls was crying, and I knew what had happened, because I knew what had happened to me. And she wouldn't tell me the truth. She just never talked to me again. And I was so close to her. I mean, my sister said, you need to reach back out to her. And I was like, I can't, because I can't know for sure. She wouldn't tell me then. Why would she tell me now? But, I think that's why I don't want, that's one reason I don't want to have lots and lots of relationships with friends. I'd love to think that I could have a girls' weekend away. But with who? And so, I don't know. I think it's just hard. I think it's probably easy for some people, like your aunt. She just, makes friends everywhere she goes. And she considers every person she meets a friend.
You know what's so funny is, to me, I see you that way, is you make friends everywhere you go. Like in North Carolina, you would stop to talk to everyone in the grocery store, like all the time.
I remember, it was funny because when I first took your dad to that small town, he found a restaurant that he loves. And it's I'm sorry to say, but it's a gross place. It's gross. He loves it. And we can't go there without somebody running into me and saying, oh, Deborah, and so so I remember very early in our relationship, it was like, we can never live there because too many people know you're there. And I never felt that way. I never felt that way. But here, you say it, then he always said it. And then I will say it, when we went to my 40th class reunion this year, because we had actually two, because one unfortunately fell on the weekend of your graduation and my mother's funeral. So that all took place in the same weekend. It was your college graduation and her funeral. And so that was the first one, and I couldn't make it, but I sent, notes and text messages to lots of people about why I couldn't come and this, that, and the other. And so a couple of my classmates found out about my mother's funeral and came, after that, because it was like 2 days after that get-together. And so they came to the funeral, and I saw them there. But, you know, we're very understanding. I said, unfortunately, this happened actually on the actual day that my daughter was graduating from college in Massachusetts. So we could not make it all the way to North Carolina. But I flew down to North Carolina the next day. And so then we had the second one in October. And we went to the high school homecoming football game. And, you know, so it was over 2 nights, these events over 2 nights. And after we got back to where we were staying, your dad said, "Is that what you wanted it to be?" I was like, "Yeah, I guess so." And I sent you videos. I mean, I was just running around all over the place.
The podcast.
Yeah, so y'all can see some of that video.
5-minute video. Yeah.
And so, but, you know, it was just kind of, I was silly and, you know, everybody telling you, "Oh, we love your mama," and stuff like that. And I thought, you know, I never felt that way. I never felt that way in high school. In fact, I'll tell people about high school. I'll say, I hated high school.
Yeah. I know. I wouldn't have that kind of thing with anyone I knew from high school because I wasn't close to anyone in high school, and then I left after 2 years.
Yeah,
so.
you were gone after 2 years.
Yeah.
So. But, you know, like I said, I feel like your auntie, she just makes friends. She's got friends all over the world.
Yeah.
I mean, she honestly could
so do
say,
you.
"I'm going to be somewhere." Well, I kind of do. Yeah. And she'll have a place to stay. She would have a place to stay almost anywhere. And I think that that's unique. Not necessarily something I feel like I could keep up with. You know. But I do think it's important to know people globally. And because whether people like it or not, we live in a global world.
Yeah.
You know, you can think, you know, high-speed air travel or just air travel in general for that. And then much less the fact that things, you know, we started, like in Europe, you've got trains that'll travel country to country. You don't even have to take an airplane. But you can fly across an ocean now.
Yeah.
And then the internet on top of that. I mean, it was one thing for flight travel, for people to be able to, you know, do business in other parts of the world. But now it's not just business. I mean, people travel the world, and I know it's a very small number.
Yeah, and I mean, actually, having a globalized society keeps inflation down, and you're seeing. Oh, we're not gonna talk about politics. Never mind.
But anyway, well, it absolutely does keep prices of things down, and it's so funny. You know why? It's so funny because my relationship to nature. Let's just talk about that.
Okay.
Is I want to protect the natural environment as much as possible. So when we moved here, there was an agreement that we would not buy a car. We do not have a car. We've been here 5.5 years. Do not have a car.
He's like going to get my license so I can get a car.
I know. He's itching for a car. I know it.
I understand.
And honestly,
in Switzerland, it would be easier for some places to have a car, but also it's not terrible.
No, it is not terrible. Now, I do think it would be important. I think here's the thing about the driver's license. It does boost your confidence.
Well, yeah.
You feel like if you go somewhere, you're not going to be stuck. Well, yeah. You could get in a car and drive if need be.
Well, I can't because I can't rent a car. I'm not 25.
Yeah, and so I think that it is important to know how enough to get
drive. I just don't have a license.
It's one thing to know how. It is one thing to know how to drive.
Yeah, but even when I was
learning you got to be able to do it.
Good at it.
That's what I'm saying. It takes practice to get good at it. A lot of practice. I mean, years of practice to be good at driving. I mean, so I think that, you know, I agree that it would be a confidence boost for you to have your driver's license and to know how to drive. But I didn't want to get a car here, and the big thing was, you know, can I do my part for, you know, Umweltschutz, which is, you know, environmental protection, and that's my part. And so but yeah, I knew it wouldn't last forever. I knew he only agreed with it to get me here. Okay, no car. We're taking public transportation. We want to live close enough to walk to stores, which we do. We can walk to any store and get anything we need just about. Now, yes, some things are heavy, and so we had to take a little cart to get them home, but, you know, we don't have to have a car.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, we can rent a car if we need to.
Yeah, and I mean, there's like things like when I got my new bed, obviously we had to ask a friend for help.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, there's always other stuff like that.
They would have delivered that.
I think Dad drove
It was
the
like
Autos
50
truck, right?
francs. Oh, yeah, that's right. So he did rent the truck.
Yeah.
I think, and it's so funny because you can rent that truck two ways. You can rent it that you drive it,
Yeah.
or rent it that they drive it.
Yeah. And the whole bed
And-
itself cost 100 francs.
Yeah.
Because it was the last one, and honestly, it's not that great put together, but it has a desk under it.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah,
don't mind it. It's a little annoying
to
when I
me,
have to
it
go pee.
conserves the space in that room.
There's no space in there to have a desk and also have space on the floor.
Right, right. Yeah.
I think he thinks I'm crazy for wanting a loft bed. Because
Yeah.
it is very clearly made for children, but I don't care.
Yeah. I think, you know.
Like, why don't they make loft beds for adults other than, like,
Well, they
grown
do
ones?
in, like,
In the U.S. they do.
in the U.S., yeah, but here I don't
Yeah,
I
they
don't know.
do loft beds here.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried about that ladder. How much does it? I mean, I don't know what the, how many times you're going to be able to go up that ladder. I don't know if we need to
Dad
reinforce
sat on the whole bed and was like, Dad was able to sit on the bed to like help me dust it off and stuff. Like, I think at one point we were both sitting up there like dusting it off or something.
Yeah. When I
So-
step on the ladder, though, I'm scared I'm breaking the ladder. So I'm
No,
terrified
it's
of stepping on
really
your ladder.
strong.
Well, I tried that bottom step, and I was like, I'm not going to climb this ladder. It does not feel secure to me.
Well,
So-
I mean, I think that was a part that was already put together. Like, we did not
Yeah.
put that together.
But I think you can reinforce those ladders.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
get
we
a
could
little
probably fix it.
triangle to go on each side. A little
Maybe,
wooden. I think that
yeah.
that would be helpful.
I mean, we have to fix part of the bed anyway
Yeah.
because the door thing.
Yeah.
So, it's fine.
So
I'm just worried about like the slats where, like, under where my mattress is, because if it were to fall, it would fall on my desk.
Yes,
where all my stuff is.
I started saying you got a lot of stuff under there.
A lot of stuff
A
on my
lot of
desk.
stuff. I mean, you got a coffee machine,
I
a
know.
tea pot. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff under there.
Which I gotta clean out the water for my espresso machine and my tea kettle so that I can make stuff.
Yeah.
Because I gotta be making stuff.
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think, you know, it's better to not buy. I mean, because even here, I mean, a lot of stuff does not have the preservatives in it, but there's a lot of added sugar to the drinks here.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, there's a lot of things, though, that you can find without added drinks. Like,
Absolutely.
I think, or without added drinks, without added sugar, which you can't find in the U.S. So, like, all the smoothies and the juice, 0 sugar
Yeah.
added.
Yeah.
It's just the sugar from the fruit.
and they're not, so you
They're
have to
not
drink them
expensive.
fast. You have to drink them fast.
Yeah. I mean,
But yeah, they're not expensive. They're not at all.
I mean, except for, like, the fancy juice I get for my breakfast. But to me, it's worth it. So,
Because
I'm
you want to
getting
drink
the
that.
fruit- Well, also because I'm getting the fruit from it, and it has a
Yeah.
lot of different fruits in it, so
Yeah.
it's like, yeah.
So it's just a blend of fruits?
Yeah, that's it. It's not even, there's no added sugar, no yogurt in it. It's just the fruit. And that's probably why it's more expensive, because it's, there's also some,
Yeah.
the one I have has, like, maracuya and, like, passion fruit in it. Or, no, not passion fruit. It has guava in it. No, it's guava banya, which is different. I can't remember what all's in it. But I know there's apple and banana in it also.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny because we've had times where that juice is not on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you wonder, ooh, did they just not have enough bottles? But maybe, I mean, it just sells them. But they probably don't make a bottle a lot
Yeah.
at a time.
Yeah, probably not.
Because, again, it would go bad so fast.
Yeah.
So, you know, I can see why they would not. Make it so that it's so. No, here we go. Salud.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's funny when I was younger, I used to think when we would use that term relationship with, my relationship with food. I used to think that was weird to say.
Yeah. Well, I have a nice relationship with candles. I've got like 5 of them that I light every night.
I understand. I do too.
I love my
I
candles.
do love candles.
It smells so good in there.
Yeah, I love candles.
Yeah.
It's funny because I know someone who does not have a good relationship with candles. She's terrified of candles. And I did not know that until I gifted her a candle one year. And then it's so funny because that candle sat, never lit. And it was one of those expensive, the fancy jar candles from Yankee.
Have it as like
sat unlit for, no. She told me she's scared of candles.
Yeah, but no, there's also nothing wrong with having it sit as decoration.
No, not. I guess not. But my purpose in giving it was, this is a nice candle. It's a nice fragrance. You'll enjoy it. Mm-hmm. I didn't know it would sit there for 20 years. And finally, your brother lit it a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm so glad that finally got. He said, oh my gosh, I love this fragrance. So, and it is one of my favorites too, sage and citrus. And I said, I'm just so glad. I said, I bought it because of this fancy jar. Mm-hmm. But I got it, because I was working at the candle store at the time. So I got a discount. And so, which was, I went to work there because my friend worked there and I was needing a part-time job. Mm-hmm. And so she got me that job at the candle store in the mall. And I'm telling you, I would kind of wait for things to go on sale and use my discount plus the sale price. But a lot of times, we'd run out of things that I wanted. And you can't hide it. It's not like you can hide them. You got to save it for the customer first. And I would get so upset when when I didn't get stuff. But I ended up, I gifted a lot of stuff from that store to people, So I think I saw some of the gifts that I gifted to my family a few years ago before I walked away for good. I walked away for good. I left that relationship in 2021, 2022. I was here and, something happened and I said, that's it, that's it. It happened to me. I thought I was the only one that this happened to. Then I started seeing, like that, my friend from high school. Mm-hmm. Now that I look back on it, I know exactly what happened in those woods that night. Mm-hmm. And I want to apologize, but it's not my place to apologize. I didn't do it. And I hate it. Mm-hmm. I hate it, but I walked away and I'm glad I did. And I hate it, because my mother died last year on Mother's Day, and I didn't have a relationship with her. Mm-hmm. I tried. I had said, she called, will you please forgive me? I said, if that's what you need, but don't expect me to just say, everything's okay. Nothing's okay. Mm-hmm. Nothing's okay. I feel like relationships should be, nurtured and cared for. Mm-hmm. I don't think you should just take everything for granted. Don't just because I'm a member of your family, you don't have something on me. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, there are some people in that family that really believe just because there are family ties that, laws can be broken and you can treat people like crap. That's just not the way it is. That's not a relationship. I mean, it's not just the connection. My research, a lot of what I found out in the way that professors teach and treat people who have told them, who have said that they were autistic, and because a professor can't ask, and so the person does have to self-disclose, and that those were the professors I interviewed for my research, and some of them even flat out said they changed. Their relationship with that student changed immediately after that self-disclosure. There was an immediate care, respect for that student. So, we can change in our relationships, and I think that we should sometimes. But, because that didn't happen in my case as far as with my family. So now it's, My father's still alive, but I have no relationship with him whatsoever. And my sister, I do have a relationship with her, and I feel positive about it. We think differently. We're very different. I mean, our relationship to a higher power is very different.
Yeah.
And but I don't, I don't try to say, what I think of that, that on the other side. Her relationship with him. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
Found out I'm 13% Swiss.
I know, that's really interesting.
So I moved to the right place when I moved.
I know.
Didn't even know
Especially
it.
area. No, I'm Bern. You're not, right?
Yeah. I'm more of course,
Yeah, the other
I'm the
side.
mountains.
Yeah.
Grissons, Ticino, there is a mountainous area in Ticino, but Ticino is like the Italian speaking part, so my
But we're also like 0.2% Italian, I guess, which to me doesn't make sense. That's the only one with like the dark skin.
the
Like
olive colored skin,
yeah, which we have.
Yep.
So to me that doesn't make sense because none of the other stuff we have is like the olive skin.
But no, my hazel eyes. Our hazel eyes, greenish hazel eyes.
That does not have anything to do with what I was just talking about.
Italy?
No, yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like, the only heritage we have that would explain the olive skin is Italy, but it's not enough to really say
Well, that just happens. That's just the beauty of genetics, right? That's just the beauty of genetics.
It's crazy, because I apparently have, like, less Italian than you do,
I will say, yes, I think so. Explains my love of the Syrah grape. It absolutely explains my relationship to red wine. So see, it all makes sense to me now.
You didn't have Irish in you, right? That was Dad's side?
No, I think I had some Irish.
Because I was going to make a joke about whiskey.
Oh, well,
Your relationship to whiskey.
My relationship to whiskey is I love it.
You're not Scottish, so the
No,
Scotch...
and I love my Scotch whiskey though.
But
I love it.
But the fact that one side, I can't remember which one of you it was, that is, the British side is West Midlands, which is like Birmingham.
That's not me.
Okay, that's Dad's side. I know, but like
I'm coastal and mountains, and you know what? It's so funny because it shows me that I really am in touch with my true self. I'm so, and I always have been, but when I would try to explain it to people, they would make fun of me, saying I was, acting like, some wizard or voodoo kind of person. They make fun of me all the time, but I think a lot of it is, undiagnosed autism. I think that I 100% know and feel. Yesterday, I had fever for just a few minutes. And what did I say? Somebody needs to check my temperature. Okay. And I had fever. And it didn't last long, but I'm telling you, I felt so bad in that moment. I mean, I couldn't stand up. I felt like I could barely hold my head up. And I was feeling so ill. And I said, I think you need to check my temperature. And your dad did, and sure enough, it was, very high. And I, slept it off, and, I kind of felt a little bad this morning, but I'm telling you, I'm in touch with my body. I'm in touch with what I think. I mean, so I feel like I know myself pretty well. And I think a lot of people think that that's just me being weird. No. For sure, my family thinks that's just me being weird.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think it's weird.
Oh, well.
But I did have someone once tell me that they could see me being, like, living on a tropical island teaching yoga, so...
So get your certification.
I know.
Get your certification and just kind of go out there and do it.
I've had people tell me that I'm not exactly a hippie, but I'm just hippie enough.
I was called a hippie when I was younger. I wish I had been encouraged as a young person to just be true to myself. I wish I had been encouraged because, I just did what everybody expected of me. I absolutely did. I got married. I had children. I stayed home with my kids. All those things that, I grew up understanding as an expectation. When I was younger, yes, more people were going to college straight from high school, but not nearly as many, maybe 25% at that time were going, as opposed to like the 68 or something percent that goes now.
Yeah. That's going to go down.
Yeah.
From that because it's getting
likely.
too expensive.
And so I wish I'd been encouraged to just kind of live it up. But instead I was discouraged. And my family didn't want me to go to college. Absolutely did not want me to go to college. And I guess it was because they felt like they were losing control of me. But, but I still, still did all the things that were expected of me other than that defiance of actually going. And I'm glad I went. I was the first person in my family to go. And, it's funny because right before my brother died, he was saying, I think I want to go to college now. I think I want to become a dentist. And I was like, wow, this is kind of late in your life. I mean, he was 42 years old, but I encouraged it. I said, you should do it. Let me tell you how to get started. And I said, start at the community college. Get a few classes over with, find out what school you want to go to. These are some good schools you can think about for dentistry. And I was encouraging him. I really wanted him to do it. I didn't know that he was going to be gone within 2 years. So. In fact, I guess he died on a Thursday because he used to call me every Wednesday. That was quite a relationship. But he called me on that Wednesday and said, I need these shoes. I want these shoes. There's a certain pair of shoes I want. Can you get them? And, I was always, he would tell me what he wanted from a certain website. I would order it, and then he'd send me the money. And so that Wednesday, we ordered a pair of shoes. And that next Sunday, we buried him in them. Those shoes came to the house on that Friday, and I said, well, I guess we'll bury him in these shoes because he really wanted these shoes. So that was something.
Get your flu vaccines.
Get your flu vaccine. Yes, absolutely. He died from complications from the flu because, his body just, with his diabetes and everything else, he died from the flu. Something that I would have never believed could happen. I didn't think people died of the flu anymore, but my brother did.
They do.
And he was younger than me.
A lot of people died from the flu.
Yep. And so whatever your relationship is to the protocol of vaccines, I hope that it's something you'll think about because these vaccines are safe, and I hope people will vaccinate their kids because I don't want any of you to have to suffer that kind of loss. I mean, because the relationship to your children should always be one of caring. In fact, you said that to me. I'll never forget it. You were in middle school. I don't remember which grade. And you said, I popped your legs. Because I said, get up. And you were sitting on the stairs and I grabbed at your leg and you said, you're not supposed to hurt me. And I thought, I'm not hurting you.
I don't remember that.
I'm not hurting you. Get up. You're going to school. I don't want to go to school. I'm sick. Which was a constant from, I don't know, probably 6th grade on.
Yeah.
So yeah, for 4 years I heard that every single day. But, I kind of wish you'd had certain experiences, but I also am glad if it was going to hurt you more than help you. I mean, I didn't want you hurt. So, but I don't know. I don't feel like you've said a lot.
I don't think I have, but you talked a lot, so.
Well, you gotta stop me when I'm talking too much.
Okay, well, I can't do that.
Why not?
Because I don't want to interrupt you, because you got upset earlier when I interrupted you.
I wasn't upset about being interrupted.
Yes, you were. I have video evidence.
I think that that's a perspective. Some people will see my perspective. Some people will see yours.
Sure.
They will. I mean, people see things differently, mostly from their own experiences. Not everybody has the same experience that you have.
Okay. Anyway, well, I only have like 10 minutes to cut out of it, so we probably need to wrap it up anyway.
Well, you should still. I mean, do you have, I mean, is there a relationship that you wish you had, or?
I don't know. I'm fairly close with my siblings, but not that close, I don't think. I mean, most of them I have to text first. Like, I don't get text messages from them out of the blue. And, like, I don't get necessarily, like, messages from friends out of the blue. There's, like, one friend that'll text me first, but the others, like, do not text me at all unless I text them. And some of them don't even text me back when I text them, so...
And that
like,
happens.
Are they even really friends at that point?
I think that how you define a friend relationship is how you define it. Mm-hmm. So on your end, it might be friend, and it might not be on the other person's end. But however you define the relationship is what it is to you.
Yeah.
And so you have to keep doing what makes you feel good. You got to not worry about it. It's just like, okay, one example was, we've had, your dad is a very, very kind person. Mm-hmm. Like, very, very kind. This is his relationship with people. Mm-hmm. He's nice to them. Mm-hmm. And somebody can ask him to borrow a few $1,000s, and he'll figure out a way. Mm-hmm. And he never expects them to pay it back. Mm-hmm. And he has said to me, when you loan friends money, you don't expect them to pay it back,
do you?
Do you?
Can't, like...
He said, you don't do it with the expectation of getting it back. So that's the same thing with friendships. You don't do it with the expectation of getting something in return.
I mean, but it's not even, like, an expectation. It's the, like, helping them with homework for 4 years, or helping them with whatever for 4 years, and them never helping you out during that same time. Or doing anything nice for you. Like, you go out of your way to help them or do something nice for them, and they never do anything for you. Like, that feels like... That's exactly what a lot of the, like, friends I had in college were.
So they're takers.
Yeah.
I'm a consumer. I consume people's time, people's... obviously, I do a lot of the talking. That's a consumption type attitude that I have. But... some people are takers, and that just happened to be the kind of people you were around. But here's the thing. You get out, once you start getting out here, once you get a job here, you will meet people that will be different. Of course, some people will be the same as what you've always known. They're going to be takers. But you'll meet other kinds of people, too. But that's the thing, is you got to get out and meet them. And you're going to have to take that chance. You got to, like, not be nervous, not be scared.
It's just something...
have more confidence.
People from Switzerland don't want to meet people not from Switzerland.
I don't think that's true, especially people your age.
No. People my age don't want to meet people that are not from Switzerland.
I don't think that's true.
I definitely think that's true.
I don't know. And so I think that, the weather's starting to turn, and we can... have some evenings out and
but
hopefully go meet people and stuff.
I can't meet people my age if I'm out with you and Dad.
Okay, then tell us not to go.
I know, I need to do that.
So, that's on you. That ain't on me.
Yeah, no, it's tough.
I know. It is tough. But, you can do it.
Yeah.
You can. But it's up to you to do it. It's up to you to build the kinds of relationships that you want, because, you only get out of it what you put into it. That's for sure. Yeah. And a lot of times you don't even get that. Yeah. But it is your side of it that's what matters to you. So you can't expect somebody else to, fill that void for you. That's not their job. Yeah. It's no one else's job.
It's definitely just, like, hard to continually, like, when the only... kind of, like, friendships I've had are from people that just, like, take, except for, like, maybe one or two. It's so tough to, like, want to go and make more friends, because, like, that's the only experience you have, and it's like, well, is it going to be worth it if they're all just going to be like that?
Right. And that's what I was saying about my one girlfriend. We just have similar experiences, and we were just that important to each other. That's why we are friends. And as far as many other people, it's so funny because I'm so glad I've learned German. Because you don't say Freund very often unless you are really, really close to me. If an acquaintance or whatever, you say Kollegen, my colleague. And so I have, an acquaintance here, and she will say, "Oh, du bist meine beste Kollegin." And she's not saying I'm her best friend, because I'm not.
Yeah.
We've only known each other, oh my gosh, almost 3 years now. Yeah. Wow, we're going on 3 years. I've celebrated 3 of her birthdays, over 3 years, because I have celebrated her birthday 3 times. We describe each other as Kollegen.
Yeah. I mean, it's also tough when it's like these people, they also treat other people very differently. Like, it seems like, I'm the only one that they treat that certain way, where it's like they're taking, other people, even people that they're not even that close with, they treat differently. And it's like, well, is that because I'm allowing them to do that? And it's just like,
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. Do you think you're allowing them to do that?
I don't know.
I think you're the only one that can figure that out.
Certainly last year with the cleaning the condo, I kind of let them just get away with it. Because, what was I going to do? Live in a dirty condo?
Yeah, that was your only other option, right? Yeah. Clean it or live in filth. And I just, I would choose the cleaning side of it if it were me.
It's just frustrating.
I know. I know.
It's okay.
But every single day, just wake up with the attitude, okay, today's a new day. I can go do this today. I can go do that today. That's just, what you have to do. I think that we live in a different world than what I grew up in, so obviously my experiences I can't tell you what to do. Because my experiences were very different. And it's because, thank God, we didn't have the internet and TikTok when I was growing up. People don't know what I did unless I tell them, And so unless you hear it coming from my lips, don't believe what people say about me. And so I'm definitely saying that to the people I went to high school with. We didn't have video evidence. I mean, even things that we put on performances at school, they're not videoed. There's no tape.
Hey, I can tell you that the performances at Dean College were videoed, but no one's allowed to watch them.
That's odd.
Exactly. They paid for the rights to video them, which means they paid for the rights to distribute them to the students that performed in them, except not even the students that performed in them can watch the video.
I'm not understanding that.
Me neither.
So, I really don't understand that.
It's okay, no one else did either.
So, that's weird.
Yeah.
But, I remember one play in middle school. I think it was Our House.
Our Town.
Our Town. I think it was Our Town.
Do you love it?
And somebody had to light a cigarette.
Yes, you've told this.
Okay. Well, anyway, we're not going to.
I've heard it so many times.
So we're not going to, But anyway,
that's just like a bonus where you talk about that story.
We don't have to. And so.
We're running way over time anyway.
Okay, so we have to kind of wrap this up.
Yeah.
So that's our cue to say we really hope you've enjoyed the conversation.
Okay. We'll be back next week with a new bottle of wine and a new topic. If you want to join the conversation, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at WineTogetherPod. Join our Facebook group, Wine Together Podcast. And if you don't want to miss out on our regular weekly episodes, along with all our bonus content, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts, as well as subscribing, liking, and commenting on our YouTube, Wine Together Podcast.
And Blue Sky.
And Blue Sky.
We are
have a
now on Blue Sky.
now.
Wine Together Podcast.
I think it's
Wine Together Pod.
Wine Together Pod. Yeah.
So look for Wine Together Pod on Blue Sky also.
Sky. So
But
many
yeah.
things.
But yeah, definitely listen on Spotify if you can.
Yes, please listen on Spotify. And then after you've listened on Spotify, listen on all our other platforms.
Yes.
Multiple times.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
Yeah.